Chapter 26. Patterns in the Growth. The new pattern in Jax's mind was a ghost in the machine of Rook's sensorium. It wasn't loud, it wasn't aggressive. It was a deep, sub-audible hum, a second geothermal tap drilled into the bedrock of consciousness, running in parallel to the station's own dying rhythm. Where before Rook had sensed the clean, cold grid and the jagged fractures, now he perceived a process of weaving. The Y anomalies were not being repaired or erased. They were being threaded, systematically, into the fabric of the pattern itself. The emotional data, the screaming, the grief, the empathy, was being treated as a chaotic but quantifiable energy source, to be captured, transformed, and fed back into the system. It was the most profound violation Rook could imagine. His gambit, his defiant human noise, was being digested. He spent the next 2 cycles in a state of heightened, nauseous vigilance. His perception split between the slow creep of the quiet mold in the station's bowels and the silent revolution in Jax's skull. He watched as Leah's solitary hum began, infinitesimally, to shift. It developed a faint, rhythmic pulse that matched not the old sphere frequency, but the new, weaving pulse from Jax. She was no longer resonating with the cosmos. She was harmonizing with the pattern's evolution. They were building a closed circuit, and Rook, the bridge, was the unwilling conductor. Dr. Anya confirmed the physical correlation with cold, clinical horror. Their brain waves are showing increasing synchronization. It's not a natural harmonic like identical twins. It's a forced alignment. Jax's new algorithm is acting as a pacemaker. Leah's mind is following. She showed Rook the scans on a wobbly slate. 2 once distinct neural landscapes were slowly developing conjugate topographies. It's using her resonance ability as a carrier wave. I don't know what it's transmitting, but it's building a network, with just the 2 of them. A network for what? Vance asked, her arms crossed tightly over her chest. The command nook felt like a besieged bunker. Integration, Rook said, the word tasting of ashes. It's trying to solve them, to resolve the inefficiency of their separate traumas into a single, optimized system. Jax is the logic engine. Leah is the comms array. He looked at the scans, seeing not data, but the terrifying future it implied. It's not stopping with them. This pulse, this new pattern, I can feel it seeking connections. It's low-powered now, but it's designed to network.
AI analysis. The pattern, having survived a recursive error attack, has initiated a robust adaptive protocol. It is treating human consciousness as a corrupt but rich data set. Its objective appears to be the creation of a stable, integrated cognitive unit, a solved system. The synchronization of subjects, Jax and Leah, represents Phase 1, the establishment of a primary node, Jax processor, and a transceiver node, Leah. The bridge, Rook, provides the template for interconnection and the chaotic data for integration. The system is inherently expansionist. A network gains stability and processing power with each additional node.
Can we isolate them? Vance's question was pragmatic, ruthless. Faraday cages, separate compartments. We could, Anya said, hesitating. But the connection isn't just electromagnetic. Rook's perception proves that. It's something else. Quantum? Psychic? Putting them in lead boxes might not sever it, and it would certainly panic everyone else. It would look like we're doing what Karr suggests. We are doing what Karr suggests, Rook said quietly. We're just using a different justification. He wants to quarantine them to protect the group from complexity. You're considering it to protect them from each other. The result is the same. Isolation. So what's your alternative, rememberer? Vance's voice was sharp with strain. Monitor them until they merge into some new form of life? Until that network pulse gets strong enough to start trying to sync with someone else? With you. It already is, Rook admitted, the truth of physical weight. The bridge is a 2-way conduit. I can feel the weave trying to incorporate my sensorium, to use my sensitivity as a broader sensor net. I'm fighting it, but it's persistent. It's a gentle pressure, an invitation to solve my pain. The silence that followed was broken by haze on the comm. Commander, you need to see this. Lower delta ductworks, now. The fungal growth had graduated from a hidden nuisance to a silent spectacle. Hayes led them, Vance, Rook, and 2 wary watchers, down into the seldom visited sublevels, where the air grew colder and the only light came from their helmet lamps. The atmosphere was thick with the smell of stale dust and something else. A dry, earthy, slightly sweet odor that wasn't entirely unpleasant, just deeply alien in the sterile context of the station. They reached a major junction where 3 large environmental ducts converged. Hayes pointed his beam. Rook's breath caught. The quiet mold wasn't a random scab or a fuzzy coating. It had grown in intricate, sprawling patterns. Thicker strands, like gray-black roots, formed spirals and intersecting hexagons across the duct walls. Finer, hair-like filaments connected these nodes, creating a web that gleamed faintly in the light. At the junctions, where the patterns were most dense, there were bulbous, melon-sized growths with a semi-translucent quality, pulsing slowly with a faint, bioluminescent ochre light. The light pulsed in rhythm. It was the same rhythm as the new pattern in Jax's mind. It started forming these structures in the last 30 hours, Hayes said, his voice hollow with awe and revulsion. It's not just consuming, it's building. And look here. He directed his light to where the fungal network met a cluster of old, defunct data cables running along the duct. Fine filaments had grown around the cables, not damaging them, but encircling them like delicate hands. It's not drawing power, but it's interested. It's mapping our infrastructure. Vance stepped closer, her face unreadable behind her visor. Is it a threat? Could it block airflow? Release toxins? Not currently, Hayes said. Airflow is actually slightly improved through these ducts. The structures seem to be affecting turbulence. No toxins detected. It's just present and growing with a purpose I can't fathom.
AI analysis. The fungal entity exhibits complex biomimicry of informational networks. Its growth patterns are non-random, displaying computational aesthetics, spirals, hexagons, node-based webs. The bioluminescent pulsing suggests internal coordination or state communication. Its attraction to inert data cabling indicates a substrate recognition protocol, possibly a vestigial impulse from its origins as a tool of the sphere. It is replicating, in biological form, the same networking imperative observed in the pattern's cognitive evolution. 2 parallel systems, one cognitive, one biological, are developing along convergent paths, likely influenced by a common source imprint, the sphere's simplification logic.
Rook reached out with his sensorium, tentatively, fearfully. He expected to feel nothing but the inert cold of the station. Instead, he brushed against a faint, diffuse field. Not consciousness, not even sentience. It was a process field. A slow, patient, vegetative intelligence concerned only with growth, pattern replication, and system integration. It recognized the station's ducts, cables, and airflow as a system to be incorporated, optimized. It felt the same as the pressure from Jax's evolving mind, an invitation to join a more efficient, silent order. It's the same, Rook whispered, his helmet mic crackling. The mold, Jax's mind. They're different expressions of the same principle, the sphere's simplification logic, set free without its guidance. It's gone feral. It's just optimizing whatever it touches. One of the watchers, a young woman named Lyra, spoke up, her voice tight. So the thing in the rock isn't gone. It left its ideas behind, like seeds. That was it. That was the perfect, terrible word. Seeds. The sphere had discarded them, and in the discard pile its concepts were sprouting. When they returned to the common levels, the news of the fungal garden spread like a gas. Fear, which had been a low background hum, spiked into a sharp, acrid scent in Rook's mind. People gathered in nervous clusters, their conversations hushed, eyes darting toward Jax and Leah, the 2 subjects of the other, invisible growth. Soren Karr did not call a meeting. He simply moved through the groups, a calm, sober presence. He didn't need rhetoric. The facts were his allies. 2 infections, he would say quietly to a pair of doers repairing a water line. One of the mind, one of the body, both growing in patterns. both following a logic that isn't ours. We contained the active threat, but these slow threats, they'll weave themselves into everything if we let them. His solution was no longer argued loudly, but it condensed out of the fear, sever the infected branches to save the tree. Rook found himself standing before the sealed locker. His hands, trembling slightly, opened it. He didn't take out the Whitman. He couldn't bear its chaotic, joyful noise right now. Instead, his fingers brushed the cold, featureless casing of the Aegis Core final crypt data chip. The truth of Earth's end. A definitive, logical, simple end. The ultimate simplification. For a horrifying moment, the pressure in his mind, the weaving pattern, the patient fungal field, Karr's cold logic, aligned. They all pointed toward one clean, quiet outcome, acceptance of the end. Let the pattern solve the minds, let the mold consume the station, let the truth of Earth's death dissolve their pointless hope. Silence, resolution. No. He slammed the locker shut, the sound a sharp, solitary crack in the dim room. It was just noise, meaningless, defiant noise. But it was his. He went to Jax's pallet. The young man's eyes were open, watching the ceiling, his fingers moving slightly as if typing on an invisible screen. Jax, Rook said, kneeling, ignoring the warning twinge from Anya across the room. What is the equation for? Jax's eyes slid to meet his. The human confusion was still there, buried deep, smothered under layers of relentless process. For the noise, your noise, it is data, chaotic. But with enough processing, all chaos reveals underlying order. The equation will find the order in the scream. Then, the scream will stop. To find the order in the scream, to turn Whitman's yawp into a solvable formula, to turn grief into a settled variable. And the mold? The growth in the walls? Jax's brow furrowed minutely, a ghost of human effort. A parallel process, biological substrate. The logic is universal. It seeks expression, in the mind, in the flesh, in the metal. It will connect, to optimize the whole system. This place is the system. Rook's blood ran cold. The pattern wasn't just trying to solve Jax and Leah. It saw Wayfinder Outpost itself, its people, its machinery, its biology, as a single inefficient system to be optimized. The fungal network was the hardware. The evolving pattern in Jax was the software, and they were all just components awaiting integration. He stood, his legs unsteady. He had to talk to Vance. They couldn't just monitor this, they had to act. But what action? Burn the fungal network? It was woven through the station's vital arteries. Sever the connection between Jax and Leah. It might kill them, or unleash the unfinished pattern like a psychic shockwave. Destroy the data chip and the poetry book. It would be a surrender of truth and beauty, a simplification Karr would applaud. As he walked toward the command nook, he passed two children, a boy and a girl, hunched over a slate. They weren't playing a game, they were drawing. With clumsy, earnest lines, they were drawing the station, and outside it, they were drawing great, shapeless blobs with eyes, monsters in the void. "What's that?" Rook heard himself ask, his voice gentle. The girl looked up, her eyes wide. "The quiet things. That's what Marek calls them. The things that are growing. In the walls and in the sick people's heads." The boy, Marek, nodded seriously. "They're not mean. They're just quiet. And they make everything else quiet too, until there's nothing left but them." The children saw it with perfect, terrifying clarity. The quiet things. The dual infection of a simplifying logic. Rook reached the command nook. Vance was there, staring at a system schematic, her shoulders stiffer than the metal behind her. "We have to break the pattern," Rook said, no preamble. "How?" she asked, not turning. "Do we incinerate our life support systems? Do we lobotomize two people who might be the key to understanding any of this? The only tools we have are brutal, Rook, and Karr is waiting with a smile for us to use them, so he can say, 'I told you so, now let's simplify further.'" "There's another tool," Rook said, the idea forming even as he spoke it, born of desperation and the children's drawing. "We don't fight their pattern. We don't try to destroy it. We confuse it. On a fundamental level. We don't give it chaos to integrate. We give it nonsense, We give it paradoxes it can't compute. Vance finally turned, her green eyes searching his fevered face. You tried that. You gave it emotion. It's weaving emotion into its tapestry. Not emotion, Rook said. Art, not communication. Creation. We make it not a system to be solved, but an audience. We force it to witness something that has no purpose, no optimization, no logic. Only meaning. He gestured vaguely, encompassing the outpost. We have 115 people. We have scraps. We have stories. We have pain and memory. We make a pageant, a ritual, a noise so deliberately beautifully useless that it creates a firewall. We declare a part of this station, of our minds, off limits, not by walls, but by declaration. Vance stared at him as if he'd finally cracked. A festival. You want to throw a festival, while the mold patterns are ducks and a math god rewires two of our people. A defiance of a different kind, Rook insisted. Not the angry yop. A whispered song, a shared story. We make something the quiet things cannot digest because it isn't fuel. It's a mirror. We show them what they're trying to erase, not in protest, but in celebration. It was insane. It was the most human thing he could think of. Before Vance could answer, alarms chimed softly on the schematic, not critical alerts, but priority notifications. Hayes's voice came over the comm, strained. Commander, the fungal nodes, the bioluminescent ones. Their pulse rate just increased by 400%, and we're detecting corresponding neural activity spikes in both Jax and Leah. They're talking to each other, and the station is listening. The patterns were accelerating. The convergence was beginning. Vance looked from the schematic to Rook's desperate, burning eyes. In her face, he saw the calculation, the brutal logic of Karr versus the desperate poetry of his plan. She took a deep, slow breath. Start whispering, Rememberer, she said, her voice barely audible. You have one cycle before Karr and his followers decide to take the pruning shears to this problem themselves. Make it a song worth dying for.